Welcome to episode 134 of Beyond the Brick. I'm Joshua Hanlon.
And I'm Matthew Kay.
And this episode of Beyond the Brick is brought to you by Brickmania. Brickmania makes great military custom Lego kits, and our featured kit this week is the exclusive Mountain Howitzer that you can get for any $100 purchase from Brickmania. So any purchase over $100 and the Mountain Howitzer will automatically be added to your order. It's a really awesome little custom kit that you can get as a bonus for ordering over $100 worth of Brickmania products. So I'll have a link to their website in the description, and you can check out all they have to offer over at brickmania.com. Now, joining us on the show tonight, we're very happy to have Ryan Wood. He is 30 years old, a model shop supervisor for Legoland California, and he has been a member of several different lugs over the years, such as Sand Lug, Lugola, and Chief Lug. So it's really great to have you on the show, Ryan.
Thanks, happy to be part of this.
Now, if you just...
Sorry for this. I'm part of Scooter Lug, apparently. There's somebody zipping by outside. I don't know if you can hear it.
No problem. Couldn't hear anything there, so that's fine.
Cool, great.
Now, if you want to start off, I mentioned you're a model shop supervisor. You want to tell us a little bit about what that job involves?
Sure. It involves managing a variety of people. We've got a team of basically 9 designers, give or take 1 or 2 at any given time. And I've got 2 team leads under me who kind of cover teams of 5 or 6 builders apiece. So I'm over anywhere between 25 to 30 people, depending on how fully staffed we are. And we actually are part of Merlin Entertainment's group, who went public last year. They're a UK company, and well, now they're really a global company. And we're one of 5 model shops from around the world that provide model content for all the new Legolands and Legoland Discovery Centers and other Merlin attractions around the world. So we're very actively working on upcoming parks around the world. It's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. So what was your progression like with that? You've been working there for how long?
Almost 5.5 years now.
Okay. Now, so when you first started out, were you doing similar work to what you're doing now, or have the jobs changed up a bit over the years?
It's been a ride, to say the least. So 5.5 years ago, actually, let's go back a little bit further. Almost 6 years ago, I was doing an unpaid internship for school. I had to quit my job to do the unpaid internship, so that was great. We had a newborn. My wife was working. I was an unemployed stay-at-home dad, sending out resumes and applications all the time. My internship in the film industry did not pan out into a paying gig, unfortunately. Some networking did not pan out the way I thought it would. Wasn't a really fun time, so I think I ended up somewhere around 110, 115 applications and resumes sent out probably all over the country for TV-related jobs, design-related jobs. And literally, I was just telling someone this the other day, literally the only place I ever heard back from was Legoland, California, who was putting on a model builder search that I'd heard about from one of my friends in Sand Lug, a couple of my friends actually. And I applied. They said, great, come on down. There was a 2-day assessment course, and part of it was built around opening up a new attraction in Legoland, California. So there was a little bit of a PR, like put on some shirts, advertise this attraction, here's the news crews and crowds of people in the park in the middle of June in the summer on a hot sunny day, build for a couple hours, and that part was a little rough, but really fun and rewarding. And landed one of the Master Model Builder roles in June 2009. I started that next month after moving my family down to San Diego from LA. It wasn't a big move for us. And then proceeded to be a Master Model Builder, which was obviously for a lot of people a dream come true. It still blows my mind that I got to do that. I didn't get to do it for nearly as long as I imagined I would when I started, because I was very lucky to get a promotion to a model designer position, which is the model designers kind of design the prototypes or the rough versions of models that the builders make the final glued versions of, the ones that'll, they'll be in the park that the kids jump on and abuse and stuff. But so I got a design role in March or April of 2010, so I wasn't even a Master Model Builder for a year. And the shop kept expanding from its original 9 people, kept getting bigger. We got north of 20. in June of 2000. Oh man, I'm gonna get this wrong. June of 2012. I was still a designer, and I got another role as a team lead. So I was leading a team of builders while designing at the same time. If I'm being honest, I wasn't great at juggling both. I was. I feel like I was a little better at the team leading, maybe, or that's what my bosses thought of me. I was really proud of my designs, but an opportunity eventually came up in the beginning of 2013, actually, to apply for a supervisor role, which I successfully got, which blew my mind. So for the last year and 3/4 now, I've been the supervisor of the model shop with team leads, designers, builders under me, kind of doing the stuff that I was doing for different periods of time. So it's, like I said, it's been kind of a really fast, progressive, fun ride.
That is a really rapid succession of like title changes. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been intense. Learning along the way. I almost had to stop myself. I almost said learnings. My boss is British, and then I was watching Ian's video just before this. If I laughed into a British accent, I apologize. So yeah, a lot of learnings along the way, and it's been fun. It's been really good for me and my family to get to try out some different things, see the world in ways I didn't really ever expect to. Like I said, I was in school for TV and film production. I wanted to work in LA and Hollywood, and doing that with my degree. I mean, there's no Lego degree. I get to tell people that all the time. There's no standard path to being a Lego master model builder or a designer for the sets in Denmark or anything like that. But
every degree is a Lego degree, right?
Honestly, it is. If I can delve into our recruitment process a little bit, trying to be careful to respect confidentiality and all that stuff. Got people, architects, 3D designers, game designers, bartenders, dive instructors, SeaWorld trainers, mathematicians, biologists, handymen, all applying for this job, master model builder jobs. And honestly, if you're the right kind of person who can do the hands-on work and you can visualize 3D space really well, you can be a master modeler. Like I said, there's no one path. You don't have to have a design degree to do what we do. Obviously, it helps. It helps to have a creative eye, a little bit of an artistic background. But some of our most amazing builders have come from the least likely of backgrounds. It's been kind of an incredible thing to see over the last few years.
No, so how about conversely? So have you ever had anybody come from a really creative background that's like a horrible builder? Is that ever an occurrence that always kind of is a question?
I'm not gonna answer that
one. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, but still, there's many routes to getting a job like Ryan has. So you don't need to pick just one and go with that. You can approach it from a lot of different ways.
There's a million or more possibilities. Probably as many possibilities as combination of two 2x4 bricks. I don't know, or whatever, however many it is. But like 4 or 5 2x4 bricks that make 9 million combinations or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I probably should know that number.
So you mentioned a few different of your job titles you've had over the years. I think a couple of them were kind of a designer yourself and then a team leader. What were some of the major differences between those two positions?
I'll start with master model builder. That one you can kind of be on your own, generally for the most part. I mean, you'll get a model or instructions, kind of blueprints and things, not like set instructions for, let's say, a skyscraper or like a crown or something, to build as a builder, and you kind of get, let's say they say build 50 holiday ornaments, and you can kind of do that on your own for the most part with very little interaction with a lot of people. It was actually really nice. You could put headphones on, you can listen to podcasts, music all day. It's pretty good stuff. And every now and then you get put on a bigger project, you work with more people. Then you jump to designer, and you get to work with people a little more. You get to kind of, when your design goes out to people, you need to know how to work with them, how to brief them on the project so it makes sense, that they're not just like, what did you just hand me? I don't know what I'm looking at. Please give me some clarification. So you get to work with people a little more. make sure you get a little bit of learning to make sure your designs are as concise and efficient as possible to be what started off being built in the local shop. Now, your model might be designed here locally, but might be built in any of the shops in Malaysia, in Billund, in Germany, in Windsor. To become kind of enterprise, the model shop system. And so from designer to lead, the jump being instead of just managing your own time and maybe a couple of people you're working with who are building your project, now I've got 6 or 7 or 8 builders who are looking to me for instructions to schedule their workload, do the HR stuff like personnel issues, time off requests, vacation time, sick time, recruiting. There's a little bit of recruiting in the team lead role because you get to help recruit the people who will be on your team, so you kind of want to be involved in that. And there's maybe a little less of the sitting around just listening to your headphones on your own. Now it's I got to be working with people. There's fires that crop up, not literal fires, but just melting plastic would not be good. Just everyday things to take care of that as a model builder or model designer you don't necessarily have to worry about. They're just kind of on your periphery. So just kind of working more and more with people, and then at some point, most people, as they're moving up through either Merlin, I'm guessing Lego's probably the same way. You kind of decide you're going to take a creative path or like a leadership management path. And I felt like my strengths lied more along the leadership path, so I kind of set some along that path, and kind of worked myself to a point where I felt like I could lead more and more people, and the opportunity happened to come up. I went for it, much sooner than I thought it would have been possible. Like I said, I started in 2009, and that opportunity came up early 2013. I mean, less than 4 years really from starting that I was looking at the possibility of supervising a team of people that I'd come up through the group with. It was really fun, really. I was seeing the job interviews, model builder job reviews, job we're doing tomorrow, assessment, I should say. We've had people say those are the funnest job interviews they've ever done, even if they don't get the job, which is always good to hear. Those are some of the differences. Just working with people more and more, and kind of getting out of I'm just sitting at my desk. I miss being a builder, to be honest. I could have been happy doing that for a really long time. Make personal choices about what we want to do with our lives, and I chose to take every opportunity I could to kind of move up a little bit.
Sure. Now, you mentioned there that you're going to be doing some kind of job interviews type of stuff tomorrow. What all will that involve? Well, do you know how many people are going to be there?
So I don't remember what the final number of applicants we got was, because there's a little bit of screening that happens. But we're going to have actually quite a lot tomorrow, going for both model builder and temporary model designer roles. When's this going to air? Just out of curiosity.
Now.
Yeah.
Before I spill any beans.
This will be airing. Yeah, it's right now. Actually, we're live, so it'll be done.
Oh, okay. See, I thought these were saved for later. Great. Okay, so I'm just hoping no one coming tomorrow is watching this. I'll actually censor myself a little bit. What we basically told our candidates is there's going to be a series of building challenges. If you go through my Flickr feed, I have, when I went through it, I posted pictures of it. I'm kind of kicking myself for doing that now, because if I had imagined that 5 years later I'd be doing this, I might not have put those up, because we've had to change our tactics a little bit. I've had to change the tactics a little bit. So there will be a series of model building challenges to test various things like speed, accuracy, testing for that 3D critical eye that I was sort of mentioning earlier, and a little bit of teamwork that goes into the assessment process. We'll look at people's portfolios. There'll be formal second interviews later, but there's really just a series of build challenges the first day, just to kind of see who's got it, who's got some kind of basis that we can work on, and foundation to build on. We do a little bit of training in the office. That's part of every hiring process, but it's how to describe it. I'll start talking about how any background really can almost come into this role if they've got the other right attributes. So, like you sort of hinted at earlier, maybe not every model builder who builds at home is necessarily fit for doing what we do professionally, but a lot are. And my job tomorrow will be sussing out, who's the one that we think will be the the 2 or 3 moving on with us. And luckily, I've got a team of people who work with me, my team leads, model designer, that kind of assessing things, and just checking out the 21 people that are coming tomorrow, I think it is. So it's not
Now, are
a
these
small
all
number
local
of
people?
Sorry, that was any local people? Is that what you're asking?
So are these people local, or are like they being flown
No.
in? How does that work?
No, actually, this is, since I've been involved with recruiting, this is probably the most people who've come from not San Diego. We've got some Northern Californians, some not quite that far away. Really, because of the Flickr and the Brothers Brick attention this one happened to get, I'm not sure what it was this time that really struck a chord with people. Maybe it was just the right time for a lot of people. We had people from as far away as Russia, Germany, Texas, which isn't really as far as the other two. I don't know why I went there.
What's the difference, really?
Applying for this one. Yeah. Careful. So Texans might not be too happy you said that. I've got friends in Texas who I know would not be happy you said that.
Yeah, well, that was for Kevin Hinkle. Yeah.
So, and it's not just that those people applied, but that they actually said yes to coming up to the assessment that we have here, which is kind of a big sacrifice for a lot of people, and we really kind of respect and admire the people who are willing to, kind of put that foot forward and throw themselves out there like that.
Definitely, that is a long way to travel. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I drove from LA, but I knew people at the time I applied who came from Seattle, Chicago, Illinois, and later on we had people come from like Iowa, and it's not all the cool LEGO people are in San Diego. They're kind of all over. So, like I said, the different backgrounds, the different places that you could come from to do this role are just astronomical.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the worst and the best parts of the job? So maybe people who are out there trying to get this type of job and kind of their dream job, are there things that you would say that are really great, and then maybe some things to look out for?
If I could put my official PR hat on, there are no worst parts of the job. But you kind of, you work through those things, and it's part of being a professional in any career. Really, is you learn to work with people, you learn to work through issues, you put out the fires. This is the team that you spend more time with than your own family. When you put in 40 hours a week, you come home, you hang out with your family for a couple hours, you go to sleep for 8 hours, you wake up the next day, go right back to work. I'm with those people more than I am with my family, and if I can't get along with them, it won't work. So I mean, that's actually one of the best parts of the job. And the worst parts of the job is the fires that come up are not fun, but once you put out those fires with that team, and you get to hire more great people into the team, and work with some really awesome people every day, it's really, really rewarding. And 5 years ago, I would have said something like, "Oh, I'm building models for a living. I get to play with Lego for a living. This is the dream come true." And it was for a time, and it is for many still today. And my dream is just a little different now. I like working with people. Recruiting is actually one of my favorite things, and my boss is actually a little bummed out because he's not in town right now. He's away on business, so he doesn't get to be part of this process. But assessing people and having fun in these interviews and kind of getting people to know, yes, it's a job, but it is still Lego, and we try to have fun with it. There's a goofy aspect to the whole thing that we try not to forget sometimes when there's budgets, goals to hit, there's just massive projects looming on the deadline that you're like, oh, how are we ever going to get this done? And we always do. I mean, that's another one of the rewarding things besides just working with people is successfully meeting deadlines, opening Legoland Florida, opening Legoland Malaysia. I think we've opened 4 or 5 Legoland Discovery Centers since I started. And it's just amazing seeing those pictures come back, opening day, seeing the giant crowds. It's almost like one of the things I used to get, like my fix, was posting my mocks online. That's part of the whole Lego model building process, is the delivery of the model and people seeing it and desiring that those the rave reviews and things like that. So for us, the opening of the park is like the displaying of our mocks. That's kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. It might be frustrating building a spaceship at home that you don't have the parts for, or it just isn't coming together the right way. It blew up one night because you pushed a little too hard and you maybe swore at it a little bit. There's that has a correlating correlation to what you do when you do it professionally. There's probably Lego certified professionals and Lego designers at the Lego company who go through similar frustrations, but ultimately it all ends up being rewarding anyway, so it's really great.
So now the one thought I had when you mentioned that you've kind of transitioned in more of an administrative role is that when you initially start, you're hands-on with the brick, you're doing a lot of building, but now it's kind of a hands-off sort of thing. Has that affected how you interact with Lego outside of work? Is it become more of a hobby again, or is it kind of still staying in the same role?
That people ask that a lot. Like, hey, you're doing this professionally now. They've asked me for 5+ years now. Hey, you've been doing this professionally. Has it lost its magic at home? You get tired of doing it for 8 hours a day and then go home and look at your pile of bricks and just go, bleh. Like, for me, that's actually never been the case. I won't speak for everybody because I have heard of people who, I'm tired of it. I did it all day. Why would I do it at home? My fingers hurt. My bigger issues are just time and then letting other distractions get to me. I've increased the size of my family since I started there. We started a little late tonight because of one newest member of my family, the baby. And no, I've never had builder's block. I've had a huge list of stuff that I wanted to build for. There's things I can think back as far as 2004 or so when I got into the community that are still sort of in like the back burner of my mind that I want to build someday, and it's for no real reason other than getting home and being too tired, hanging out with my family or just spending my time doing other things. I have no ill will towards my Lego when I come home because of work. If anything, it's kind of frustrating to be at work all day and think of something really awesome that I want to work at home, but it's all around me at work, and I want to start it at work, but that's a no-no because those parts do not belong to you. But there's at least one model that I thought of at work, and I immediately came home that night, and it was probably one of the fastest builds I've ever done. It was also one of the smallest builds, and there was this really short-lived fad called Primopoc. And I don't know, it was maybe a week or two old. Someone started on mock pages. I apologize if I'm insulting the person who came up with it. And it was basically like Primo bricks, which are sort of work with Duplo, I think. I don't even remember now. It's been too many years. But it was basically like attaching apocalyptic designs to these Primo pieces. And I'd seen these things for a few days. I got work that became a link real quick, but basically, there's a pro and a con to working with Lego all day, and for me, most of the cons are, it's not mine, I can't use it.
Yeah, you can't just sit there using the bricks to build whatever you want. You do have to get certain things done every day.
Yeah, we have, I don't know, I'd say every couple of months. We usually have a holiday themed contest or two. One of our model designers is kind of our unofficial party person, and she is really good at coming up with themed contests. Like right now, we've got a Halloween one going on right now, where she built out of foam board and base plate. She built this dollhouse, and basically said, "This is yours. You guys fill the rooms of this dollhouse with scary, spooky, Halloween themed." Denizens of the building and the furniture and all that stuff, and that's a creative outlet for people that they don't necessarily always get if they're building, let's say, 300 monkeys for the hotel that's about to open up.
It's more like an industrial production process at that point, right?
Honestly, it is, and most people don't always know about that going in. I don't know if I send you this link, what's going to happen to it. I haven't used Hangouts very much. Does that work?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, we got it there. So this is the Primopoc build you were talking about then.
Yeah, so that like literally came to my head during work. I knew this rarely happens with me. I knew where every piece was supposed to go, and the lucky part was I had those pieces when I came home to build it. I mean, it's not the most refined of my builds, but I mean at the time my son was like probably not even one, and I stole his Lego that had rattling beads in it. I stole it for the night and threw pictures up online, and it's actually around here somewhere. So I was trying to find something that was still around in my office, and I was not having a whole lot of luck. But yeah, what were we talking about?
Yeah, you can see the build here. I brought up a photo of it. So yeah, this is an example of what you were talking about with the kind of Duplo compatible pieces mixed with normal Lego pieces.
Yeah, and getting normal pieces to kind of fit in the base of that thing. I think it's 4 studs wide, but it's kind of a snug 4 wide. So you almost had to find something that had a little curvature to the edges of it. And I think the thing that finally fit in it for me was it's almost like a 4x4 radar dish, but it's like an inverted version with studs coming off the side of it. It's sort of like a snotted radar dish. It's kind of weird. And I happen to have one, and it kind of fit fairly perfectly, and let me do a whole bunch of fun stuff with that.
Does that piece have like a 1x2 kind of sticking out on the other side?
Yeah, 1x2 plates sticking out the back.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Nice library in that brain of yours.
You got it.
You're like a walking Piron.
I wish.
I'm sorry, did I just date myself? Does anyone use Piron anymore?
Oh, Piron is totally a thing, Ryan.
Oh yeah, wildly popular.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about cassette tapes?
I was listening to my Walkman earlier on Piron on my IBM.
Not that tape, sorry.
Not that old, but yeah, that's a very nice creation. So how long was the total build time? One evening you whacked it out, you said.
That was probably like an hour and a half or 2 hours maybe.
That is impressive.
I bet if I clicked on that link and actually read the description, it probably says something like, "Oh, this took me 2 days," but I fairly clearly remember that it was a really quick build.
That's awesome.
Yeah, actually, it says in the description, the first mock I've come home and built after daydreaming about it all day at work. Yeah, so that was just a quick couple-hour build at home, which for me is kind of a miracle. I don't know if, well, I used to be fairly known for being really slow, a builder at home, and I've got many projects that died slow deaths, never to see the light of day as finished creations, and for me to finish anything nowadays is kind of a real miracle. And I've had a couple things over the past, I don't know, year or so that actually got finished, and they were intended to go to people that are, in people's hands now that I'm really proud about.
Definitely.
Now, we covered a little bit of your history working as a model designer. Now, were you in the AFOL community before that? You had spent several years as a regular builder before that, correct?
Yeah, so I came in, I think I keep saying 2004, but it was really probably 2003, kind of the end of 2003. I'd been buying Star Wars Lego since '99. Kind of got the hint through some Google search in like 2002 when episode 2 of Star Wars came out that there were forums out there, and it wasn't probably till, like I said, maybe 2003 that I joined when I joined FBTB from Bricks to Bothans. Well, I just butchered the Bothans. So that was probably 2003. So from about 2003-4 till, like I said, I got the job in 2009. It was kind of a really didn't feel quick at the time, but now it went like a blur. 5 years in the community. I went to my first two conventions in 2004. And actually, my very first convention was Brickfest PDX in February 2004. And the reason I remember that is because my wife and I, who were just dating at the time, we'd been dating for about a month, and I promptly left Valentine's Day weekend to go to a LEGO convention by myself, which might have sent most girls running. Might not have been a happy camper that weekend to not have me home on like the most romantic weekend of the year, but we worked it out. We stuck it out. We broke up later for different reasons. Got back together later for different reasons, and we'll be hitting 8 years of marriage this December. Yeah, I'm doing my math right. 8 years of marriage this December. So I didn't actually put that together before. I've been with my wife about as long as I've been in the LEGO community. Wow. Actually, I hadn't put those numbers together before. Yeah, because she and I met in summer of 2003. Holy crap. That's kind of crazy. Sorry, I don't feel like have language.
Just had a little revelation take place there.
Wait a minute, no!
Yeah, I mean, I sort of had those two stories separate in my head for like all these years, and I never really put together that she might not have, no depth and the really kind of sad, lonely things that I do. Building at home alone, looking up concept art online at like 11 o'clock at night. She might not know that part of it for a while, but obviously she had a collection. And it's really funny, actually. Once we got married, the size of my collection, it's been kind of a gradual growth. There's been no like giant. I bought some guy's 200-pound Craigslist lot or anything like that, but she's been really supportive. She became a fan eventually as well. Her own sets. I think she got the first Cafe Corner and fell in love with it. So at some point we kept getting them, and then there was too many, and we had to stop because it's so many you can't keep up anymore. And yeah. So anyway, going back to the original question about how long have I been involved in the community? Since 2004. Joined Legola about that time, joined FBTV about that time. What's really funny is while I was in Legola, I would travel down to San Diego, to Sandlug meetings, I should say, really frequently. Like, I look back now and go, man, that was a lot of gas I wasted. Not wasted, spent. That's more positive.
Yeah.
But once I moved down here for this job in San Diego, we rarely go to LA for like Legola related.
Ooh, oh, come on.
Which is funny because some of my closest, dearest friends are in Legola. You've interviewed a couple of them before. And my wife's parents are actually in LA, so we do find reasons to go fairly often. They just don't always line up with Legola meetings. But yeah, I've got a really crazy extended friend/family relationship with people all over. What started off as just the country, kind of all over the world now, and my wife has kind of grown into that family as well. That there's obviously other communities like that, but I think there's something really special about the Lego one. Like I have other hobbies. I do a little bit of I love video games, Nintendo products. I'm kind of a big Nintendo fanboy, but I don't really actively hang out with communities about those hobbies. I'm not like, shoot, I just lied. I just realized I was on a Smash Brothers forum last night looking up some techniques for the latest Smash Brothers.
Ain't no nerd like a Lego nerd.
Yeah, no, Lego people are amazing, and I don't know if it's because there's really a solitary like build at home alone aspect to it that when you get those people together, you kind of see the sparks fly, sort of, not necessarily the bad sparks, but like you get to see the different personalities interact, and it's fun. It's amazing. I've lost track, 6, 7, or 8 BrickCons now. I've only been to one Brick Fest on the East Coast, and then the Portland one. But like I crave that community aspect to it. I'm not as active online nearly as I used to be. Like that used to be my thing. That was my jam. FBTV, all sorts of. Lugnet. I used to post on Lugnet. No one does that anymore. I actually don't know if it's still running anymore, to be honest. Bricklink's house. What's that?
I said I think the servers might still be up, but nothing is going on, right?
Yeah, there's blood, rest in peace. Classic Castle, ClassicSpace.com before that went down. Those were. Other people might have, sports where they hang out with people, or they go to the arcade. I hung out online in my late teens with grown men who were playing with Lego. And interestingly enough, my parents were supportive of that. I mean, it sounds weird as I say it now. Now that I'm a parent, I'm like, well, I let my kid do that. But I was 18 or 19 when I went to my first convention alone, and it was actually my first flight anywhere. And my parents let me go alone, let me have my own hotel room that I paid for with my job money. And looking back on it now, I should have been more surprised that they let me do that because I don't know. I hate that there's a stigma attached. I think the Lego movie has probably maybe helped a little, with maybe opening people's eyes a little bit that we're not all president businesses. My mom kind of makes fun of me a little bit. She said when she saw the movie, she cried, and then she texted me afterwards and says, "You're not that guy, are you?" And I was like, "No, Mom, I don't really have a basement full of the product." But my boys do have some rules. I mean, they've got their own Lego. At the moment, it's in sort of its own Cloud Cuckoo Land box. They'll never watch this video, so I'm going to embarrass them right now. One of them started eating it recently, which is extremely frustrating because even when they were babies, they actively avoided it and would walk around it on the floor and not play with it for the most part. And now, for some reason, the 4-year-old has decided, Dad's not around, I can put this one in my mouth. So my wife and I have kind of had to put the stop on that, kind of take it away for a little bit. But kind of what my standing rule for them is once I know that they will treat their 6 and 4-year-old collection properly, then the Lego room is fair game. At this point, I don't really have a whole lot I'm protecting in my office. I mean, it's not even really fully sorted. It might look sorted at this point, but that's the least sorted side of the room with a whole bunch of just mixed stuff. But one of their favorite things is putting minifigs together, and it's funny because I was watching Ian's video that you guys did a while ago, and he said that's what his kids want to play with too. I'm not a minifig hater by any means. I've got collectible minifigs, unlike him, but I don't really go off making my own. If I need a pilot, I'll make a pilot. It's not really my thing to make a lot of minifigs. So there's just really bins full of heads, torsos, legs, hats, helmets, hair. That my boys they get into that more than the other parts.
So you bringing your kids up there, getting them building somewhat, and slowly let them into the collection.
Yeah, and what's actually really fun is when they do have the Lego in the room, they've got a build table. Is waking up in the morning, I'll be a little annoyed that I hear some pieces flying around the room as they start fighting, but more often than not, there's a model for me to look at in there when I go in the morning to check on them. Sometimes it's a crazy Duplo castle made of just 2x2s because for some reason that was their part that they picked of the day. Or my son's been mashing up the latest Batman and Flash sets and doing stuff that I probably wasn't doing till I was about 12 or 13. And I don't know if it's because there's more snot pieces now or he's more creative than me. Maybe I don't know. Some of the stuff he comes up with is just fun. I haven't really posted any of it yet. Maybe I'm a little bit of president business that way that I'm not sharing his stuff online quite yet. But that's something I'm looking forward to doing one day. Ian sort of mentioned his kids. I've seen some other friends post their stuff online. Chris Gins and
I was
Jake
getting ready
Gins.
to say, yeah, Jake, right?
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
got the best builds.
Yeah, they're great. He's sort of my inspiration in a lot of ways. He actually threw my wife under the bus a little bit during his interview. He mentioned that people were shaving their heads for him, and I put out on Facebook, hey, I'll take requests. I'll do whatever you guys want to my hair. And someone was like, Mr. T. So I'm like, all right. So I went in the bathroom, the mohawk into my head, and my wife came home from wherever she was, and was like, that's going. So the mohawk lasted a couple hours, and I think Chris went on and said something like, oh yeah, Ryan's wife made him get rid of it, which was true. But it was funny because she had people on Facebook like, why is this guy talking about you, or something like that. I can't remember what exactly happened. But I think he called up to apologize or posted on Facebook like, I was just, I still love you guys. Yeah, Chris is great. I'm really proud and happy for him that he's really kind of relieved that he made it through that cancer sucks.
Definitely.
Getting a little
does.
bit of a personal space. A lot of people don't know this yet, but my mom is also going through a little bit of that right now, and it's terrifying. Like, it's weird seeing it happen to one person who's like a really good, basically, Chris is a friend. He's almost like family to me. We've hung out many times before. But like when it's that close to home, it's just devastating. And I'm man enough to admit that I cried the night my mom called to tell me she had cancer, and she had a major operation. She's better now. She's not quite fit, but it sucks. I just brought this whole thing down with cancer talk. I apologize, but it's inspiring. It's reassuring to see people be able to work through that with science and doctors. And here I am for a living. I'm supervising Lego Master Model Builders, making kids happy. That's my contribution to the world.
It's a very noble contribution, though, because then those happy kids go home to the doctors, and the doctors fix everybody else up because their kids are happy, so they can do their job. That's how it works. But prayers for your mom, Ryan.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. There was a lot of that going around, and not quite over yet. I'm actually surprised I even mentioned it, because she's a fairly private person. We haven't really talked about it a whole lot online or anything like that. And I kind of went through it with my family for the most part. Most of my coworkers don't even know. But just personal stuff. I must be really liking you guys to have been comfortable talking about it. So hey, good job warming me up.
We got to dig into some builds, Josh. You want to dig into some builds?
Yeah, we can do that for sure. So one build I definitely wanted to make sure we talked about was your Hovertank build, and this is one that I think is from about 2004. So this is probably one of your first builds, definitely one of your older ones.
Yep. 2004 and 5 were really prolific for me. Every now and then I go like, oh man, those were the good old days. And then I kind of have to remind myself that the good old days are actually still ahead of me. Most of my best ideas I have not even come close to touching yet. I can't wait to put some of them on my desk and start building. But yeah, this is the kind of model that I was like, I wish I hadn't taken it apart. I wish I still had it today. And I've got dreams of rebuilding it and getting Rob Hendricks from Light Bricks. I can't remember the name of his company. Life Lights. Okay, because I think all I think of is Brickmania. I know it's Brickmania, Rob Hendricks. He and I go back a little ways, but I always wanted to commission him to light that sucker up, because there's like fluorescent neon, green cannons on the back. There's that skull head that I love to make glow nice and red. Pew pew cannons on the front of it. I kind of wanted to get a little bit of a Fast and the Furious like glow under the tank too, like he's cruising down the streets of like Tokyo or something. But yeah, that's one of the models that I don't know, for some reason it clicked for me. It clicked for a lot of people. The function it had where as it rolled, it kind of chomped the jaw. I wish I could go back and do with power functions. If I could wrap my head around the people who do that stuff, because it's ridiculous how small people can cram those power motors into things nowadays. It's crazy.
Those are feats of engineering.
Yeah, and it's funny, going back to the Master Model Builder thing, engineers can wrap their heads around some of this stuff a lot quicker than me. I was shooting stuff with a camera at school. What do I know about art? Disparaging my degree a little bit. It was actually a really good degree. It was a good program. I loved it. It's benefited me a lot of ways. But anyway, yeah, going back to the model, I don't know. I just love it. The whole 3-color rule, or 2 main colors and a color. I can't even remember what the official rules are anyway. Yeah, I was really proud of that model. I wish I still had it around. I wish I could have it chasing after my boys' models right now.
It looks like a set. That's a compliment, though.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
Definitely.
And it's actually one of my favorite sets was the Space Skulls set that Mark Hanlon did. I was going through my brick set list of, I'll put a plug in there, the list of sets that I put in a brick set, trying to find my favorite, because no one answer was just coming to mind. And for some reason, I never added Space Skulls or Star Justice to my brick set list, which I've now rectified. But those 2 sets were like I don't want to sound like I'm just shilling for my friends or anything, but those two sets had so many parts, were just great fan builds, and I wish they were still doing stuff like that. Because I miss them. They were great. They were for me like Space Skulls, like Evil, 3 I'm sorry. Those are my jam back in 2004, 5, 6. I mean that was what I did. That was the fun stuff. Just skulls, like that was my almost like rebelling phase. Like I didn't wear Skull T-shirts. I built Skull Lego models.
Those really were two amazing sets, though, and it's almost like Kusu before Kusu, or Lego Idea before Lego Ideas.
Yeah. That's pretty much it, to be honest. And it didn't sell well, but I remember Sandlug did a draft of one or the other. I can't remember now. I could probably check my Flickr for pictures. Whoops! That was my chompy alligator thing that I was going to save if I got bored and couldn't figure out what to play with on my desk. I don't know if they were on clearance or something. They must have been on clearance, but we got them for like, what were they, $100 sets, and I think we got Space Gold or something for like $25 a pop, and we drafted those, and I just got like an unheard number of those black click hinges from the Space Gold tentacles.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was, clearance Lego is like manna from heaven. We're well past those days of near bankruptcy Lego company. So there's a little bit of pro and con. The company's doing great, but we don't get the really dirt cheap Lego anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm all for bad marketing. Woohoo! Yeah, more discount Lego for me.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know how it was marketed. I know people who were incredibly happy paying full price for them. I did. But maybe kids just didn't get it. My kids would be like, "Whoa, space!" They don't particularly care. Let's see what I've got on the shelves right now. I've got the Benny spaceship. I've got the Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy, Ninjago, Chima. They like the Chima Speedors. Ninjago, they weren't quite as into the Lego Movie. Obviously, they love, like most kids, I think, probably do. But it's when I show them either spaceships online or some of the older stuff I've done, or even like I'm trying to remember what it was now. I don't see any on my shelf right now. Oh, the X-Jet they kind of liked. I have one UCS set. It's the one and only UCS set in my collection behind me on the shelf. It's not even my own model, that X-Wing back there. They just like the goofy looking spaceships and stuff. They don't necessarily need the refined, life on Mars, Mission Mars, or Galaxy Squad. There we go. Like they like the Galaxy Squad sets. And I realized that the point I was making sounded like I was disparaging those. And it was opposite actually. Was that they don't need the the crazy stuff. It's space. They just need the space. That's really what I'm getting at. Is it doesn't have to have a theme necessarily. I could show them a random spaceship that also has like a guy with a jetpack that pops off the back. That's cool to them. I think the designers who tap into those sensibilities are really onto something, and that's why I was sort of talking about my favorite sets earlier. The ones I like the most are the ones with tons of playability. The Space Skulls and the Star Justice had tons of playability.
Totally.
The Agent's Mobile Command Center had like the most playability I've ever seen in a set. And what's the other one that I was trying to think of? The Alien Conquest. I don't remember what it was called now off the top of my head, but that, their sort of version of the mobile command base with a freaking Vic Viper on the back of it. I've got videos of my kids just playing with that stuff as babies, and they hold up under the abuse of babies. It's kind of crazy.
So where does the exosuit fall in this large categorization?
Oh no! Don't go there. I don't have an exosuit yet.
Oh, Ryan, no.
Yeah, I know. It's I'm saving up for Christmas, but I don't know if it'll still be around then. I imagine they would probably love the exosuit. But just the playability and set. So now kind of most of my ideas that I want to build have something in them that my kids would love. They love the new. Oh man, I was building. Which one was it? The I guess it was the X-Jet, and it's got the missiles on the side of it. I'm sorry, it's got the flick fires on the side, and it's got the new launching ones on the back of it. I mean, we could shoot those at each other for hours. They love those sorts of things. So, fans or adult builders might not always be like, oh, why are there spring fire missiles? It's just filling up space and stuff. I don't need this. But
it just has to look good. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids flip for that stuff. So the people who are designing the sets for kids know exactly what they're doing. They're on the right track.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got their target audience in mind with that.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that you could listen to a little music every once in a while and stuff like that while you were doing your job. Do you have any other entertainment of choice while you're building?
So usually soundtracks at work and at home. Usually soundtracks. That's just, I would rather not have words. I don't know if that sounds weird, because every now and then there's a song with words, but it's just the instrumental stuff is what gets me. There's actually a group that one of my coworkers introduced me to called ES Posthumous, and they're kind of called like the trailer music guys. I think they're from Europe, and they're basically they do the kind of music that you would hear in movie trailers. And if you heard their songs, you'd be like, I think I've heard that in like a half dozen movie previews. So I really like that kind of stuff. A little bit of Netflix. Sometimes movies, not as much, because I tend to get distracted by the movies and don't build, and that's not productive at all. Sometimes I'll, in the past when I would build more, I would be in a chat, either the LEGO chat or the FBTV chat, that's kind of worked its way from AOL to IRC, and I think it's still in IRC, not quite as active as it used to be. So I do still chat from time to time with my friends while I'm building. Like the other night I was photoshopping a picture of an upcoming model and just kind of getting some more graphic advice from people then that I felt like I needed. And I got it and posted a teaser the other day of a Starfighter telephone game model that's about to enter the hands of its intended recipient. So I'm very anxiously awaiting the day when he opens up the package, puts it together, and goes, "Hey, great!" Because then I can hit the trigger button and make all those pictures publicly. When you build and post as infrequently as I do nowadays, any chance? I can't wait. That's my Christmas coming up.
Yeah. Well, whatever excuse you can get to post some new photos online is always great.
Yeah. New models, not just photos, because anybody can post picked photos.
Yeah. Hopefully there's a cool Lego model in the photo you're posting.
Yes. It's actually, yeah, I'll just leave it there. Sorry, my mind was going back to the day I was thinking in 2004 or 5. I can't remember now. There's a few of us who would do stupid stuff, and I'm sure there's kids today doing the same sort of stupid stuff, like putting your mock in your mouth for some reason was a dumb thing for a little bit. I don't know why we did it. It doesn't make any sense at the time. Going back to my pictures now, I'm like, I was like 18 or 19. How dumb was I? Like it was only like 10 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Tisk.
Yeah.
So will you be able to make it to any conventions then this year to display your cool builds you've got going on?
BrickCon's my convention of choice. Did not get to make it this year. It gets harder and harder the more kids you have, because then you have to find someone to watch all those kids. Before it was easy, like, the first kid, the in-laws can watch it. The in-laws can watch them. The second kid, I should say, was, the in-laws can watch one, my sister can watch the other one, and now we've got 3. And the next convention I go to, I suspect as a fan, will be probably solo, which is a bummer for my wife if that is indeed the case, because she really loves the people in the conventions too. Professionally, officially, I'm actually going to Brick World Tampa next weekend for work. Yeah, that's sort of a new thing for us. They used to do a bit more recruiting from conventions. Back about 2009, I think they hit Brick World that year, but we've sort of been able to get people without traveling. and now we're kind of reaching out just a little bit further to the the next convention in line, which happens to be Tampa, and we're able to get in with Mr. Brian Bonahum and set up as a not necessarily a vendor, but we'll have some display space sort of advertising our recruiting efforts.
That should be a really good time.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because there's several people going to that convention who I've known for years as a fan and as a friend online, and I'll finally get to meet in person. But I'm there in an official capacity, so I'm like, how giddy and silly can I be while I'm on the clock? I haven't quite figured it out yet. I'm going with my boss, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think Tyler Kleitz will be there. I think Simon, I don't know his last name, Simon McDonald, who wears the Boba Fett Lego outfit. I think he's going. There's a few other people I know. I'm really excited to see for the first time in person because I don't usually make it to the host. So it might be for an official capacity, but there's people I'm going to be seeing there.
That's awesome.
Longtime friends for the first time, but I'm like, it's just the icing on the cake. I get to work and I get to see some longtime friends.
It's like the first convention in Florida or whatever. Not convention, but like show or whatever they call those.
Yeah, it kind of, I didn't know it existed till I started looking for convention opportunities to attend for work. BrickCon was out of the equation this year, but yeah, it's Brick World. I didn't realize had like franchised out the name or something. But some of the details of the event sound really big. I can't remember where it is off the top of my head.
Florida State Fairgrounds in Tampa, Florida.
Look at you, high five.
Next weekend. Oh, I know, Ryan.
Are you going?
I don't want to make any promises. There's like this 60% chance though.
Wow, I could meet my newest
sure.
friend there.
You could maybe meet me. There's a contingencies though. We'll have to see.
And so can your viewers who happen to be in the Tampa area.
But yeah, very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been to a convention since probably 2012 or 11, my last BrickCon. So yeah, it's like I said, not going for personal reasons necessarily, just going for professional reasons, but still looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good time. Definitely. I encourage anybody to come find me at the booth that we're gonna have set up for Legoland. As I advertise again for the place where I work.
Gotta do it whenever you get a chance.
Sorry, this happens to be like my favorite size cup. Like it's not too big. It's not like the tiny little kids cup. It's got enough for me.
Perfect size for you. So I know you mentioned that you have not made it to a convention in a few years. Do you have any favorite memories or favorite stories from the conventions you have made it to over the years?
Sleeping on the floor at MallCon/BrickCon 2004 as other con attendees walk around me and Bruce Lowell laying down on the floor. And actually, it's funny, a lot of my memories revolve around sleeping Bruce Lowell because he crashed at my house. I'm going to embarrass him and me probably a little bit here. He crashed at my house the night before the flight, and I think I've got pictures of him like sleeping on the plane, and then us. I don't know if there's any pictures of it. I know there's pictures of like our luggage just kind of thrown on the ground, but probably no pictures of us sleeping on the ground. But I remember our friends kind of waking us up and being like, "Really? You're like laying on the ground? How tired are you?" That's one of my earliest and favorite memories is sleeping Bruce Lowell with little Lowell spheres dancing in our heads. Winning the Best in Space award at BrickCon 2009, and which was the year that I started my job. So 2009 was a really big year for me personally. Graduating from college, BrickCon 2009. So we won Best in Space for the Chief Lug Battlestar Galactica display, which was 13 or 14. Galactica show with a Colonial Viper concept that was fairly easy to replicate, and people could kind of swap around and change colors on their own. So we had like Nanin, I don't even remember what his theme was called at the time, like black with orange trans bits poking out of it. Vipers. We had
Black Fantasy?
Black Fantasy. There you go. I'm sorry, I couldn't remember the name. It's been so long since I think he did anything Black Fantasy.
Yeah, that's a really cool. I remember it was kind of like the Flickr fad of the time, as it were.
Yeah, it's interesting trying to think back to the fads that come and go. The Primopoc thing. I mean, Gark is still going strong. I mean,
Totally.
Cave Racers was a few years
NASCAR.
ago.
It was like the NASCAR fad, you know?
What's that? The Gark? Oh yeah, the NASCAR with all the little stickers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people were doing Vipers. I can't remember the final count. I should look it up online. But it was a lot. It was a few dozen builders from around the country who showed up and dropped their Vipers into the hangar that I built. I think
And
Mark
that was a beautiful hangar, by the way.
Thank you. That was
really nice.
Crazy to build. I love the show. It's where I got my online moniker, Chief. I think it was at BrickCon 2005 that John Palmer was walking around in an orange jumpsuit, and someone was like, try it on. So I tried it on, and they go, you look like Chief Tyrrell from Battlestar Galactica. And I've been called Chief since 2005 now because of that. I realize I'm going off topic a little bit, but one of my sort of related to Lego, but mainly about Battlestar Galactica, was meeting the actor who plays Chief Tyrrell, Aaron Douglas, at my first Comic-Con a couple years ago, and a friend of mine, Ace Kim, who runs FBTV, took our picture together, and I will cherish that photo forever because it was a super crazy experience meeting him in real life and go, that's the guy. People call me Chief because I look like you, and it was just one of those kind of like out-of-body experience moments. So yeah, that hangar display was awesome. All the builders involved in that. We had so many Vipers, it couldn't fit in the hangar. And I thought I had built enough to fit everybody, but we had like a whole extra table next to it. I think Mark Hanlon had built a little bit of an extra hangar with that crammed 3 or 4 in there. I think we had a small fleet just off to the side because it couldn't fit. Dan Rubin built part of the, what was it called, the Colonial Movers ship with the giant cargo containers on the sides of it. That in one of the episodes, the cargo containers pop off and Vipers fly out of it in kind of a sneak attack. One of the more memorable episodes. My wife built a mosaic of the Battlestar Galactica that was sort of the backdrop for the thing. And aside from some building contests that happened during the events, the only like mock model, I should say, trophy I've ever won was at Best in Space when it was part of this like group effort. So that's one of my biggest memories, is that my friends and I put on this award-winning thing together for eternal BrickCon plastic trophy glory. It's a good memory.
That's awesome.
It's always cool to win some awards from conventions and stuff when people show their appreciation for your builds. That's always neat.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like, oh, I only got one, because the one that I got is probably the best one that I could have asked for, was doing it with my friends. I can't even, the list of people who helped with that, it almost reads like a who's who of the Lego community, and many of them have gone a little quiet over the last couple of years, but others are as active as ever, or have moved into professional Lego model building or design, or really have just had more kids, have gotten married, have just kind of gone their different paths. But you sort of try to keep in touch by like Facebook and things like that, and Starfighter telephone games, or I think some of the interaction that we get now is the emails back and forth, or the occasional convention, kind of like a family reunion of sorts. That's kind of why I'm missing my conventions the last couple of years. My family's out there, and I haven't seen them in a while.
Totally. Now, there's one model I don't want to finish the interview without discussing, and that would be the oMICRON weekend.
Oh yeah.
How does one say this name?
So officially it's oMICRon, but you sort of have to put a different pronunciation on the micro part of it. So your guess is as good as mine, but it's probably oMICRon. Yeah, I'm gonna make fun of Andrew Lee a little bit because I love Andrew. He and I share a birthday, and just every year it's the same. Happy birthday to my brother from another mother. And whenever I get up to Legola, we try to hang out. But he also has a wife named Katie. Like we have all these interlocking details about our lives that are the same. But anyway, he used to say oMICRON, and it used to drive me nuts because I'm like, there's no N anywhere near like the O. It's oMICRon or oMICRon. It's not oMICRon. And it would drive me nuts. I don't know if I've ever voiced that, but now it's going to be out there. So I'll talk to you later, Andrew. But yeah, that's dude. I think Keith I think he ended up with it at some point. I think the big one was dismantled, but at some point that model was making the rounds. It was in Gary McIntyre's house for a while in San Diego. I think it started with me in LA, moved to Gary in San Diego. At some point Keith ended up with it. But that was a fun contest. That was like that was a classic Space Forum contest where it was like fanboy micro, like find someone else's mock and make a micro version of it. And
so why not make a micro version of like the most epic mock ever?
That's sort of what went through our minds. Yeah, and a little bit of a tribute to our friends Ryan Rubino, Michael Rutherford, and Keith Goldman, who, you know, that thing was amazing. It had everything. It had circles, squares, you know, what was it called, the wheel, just the various shapes that went together. You know, the broken up hillside from, you know, the waterfront leading up to the upper area where the kind of fortress was. There's a freaking polar bear walking around. How do we make the polar bear in micro scale size? How do we build all the little like barracks? It was intense. And I don't know if you've seen the story posted on either the set or the album, whatever Flickr calls them now. That contest had a deadline, and it was right around the time of my first baby being due. So literally, we had a friend of mine, Scotty. I don't know if he posts very active Lego stuff anymore.
Scooty Witzel?
That's the guy. You know him. So he was up in, I think he was up in Camarillo, California at the time. I think he drove down for 1 or 2 weekends to help work on it. Andrew Lee was nearby. At the time, we were like 5 miles apart from each other, so he would come over to my house frequently to build. Gary came up from San Diego a couple times, so the four of us knocked this thing out barely before the baby showed up. But the whole time it was like, what's the more harrowing deadline? Is it the contest deadline, or is it the fact that my wife could explode with a child out of her at any point? And it was intense. Like there was false alarms that were like, oh man, this is it. Oh no, she's good. Okay, we got another day to build maybe. Woo. And we finished it up and posted it, and the response was great. That's oh man, that brings back even more memories. That was a really fun model. Translating something, it's almost like my former job as a model designer was taking something that exists and reinterpreting it a different way. So what we do for Miniland, for Legolands, is, you know, let's use Florida as an example. We need to build Miami Beach, but at 1/20th scale, and it's, you know, some people see it as an art, and in many ways it is, but it's also just a translating job. It's an interpretation job. It's a lot of math involved to going, how do you make this thing that looks perfect in the real world? You can't necessarily make a perfect version of it at 1/20th scale, but what's the caricaturized version of it that people will see at a Legoland and go, holy cow, that is definitely that building. Very few people are ever going to go, that only has 30 stories. The real one's got about 40. When you have kind of selectively compressed different stories and things to make it work within budgets and space constraints. But anyway, yeah, it's a very similar thing now that I'm thinking back on it. That year before I got the job was when the oMICRON weekend was built. I don't even remember if that was in my portfolio. I had to imagine it would have been if I could find that. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's a walk down a crazy memory lane.
That is too awesome, though. I was kind of aware of some of the backstory just from Flickr and stuff, but hearing it from you directly, that's priceless.
Yeah, and I don't remember. I think we were not posting any teasers of anything we were doing the entire time, but we took pictures the whole time. But we didn't want to give it away to anybody that we were working on it until we posted it probably the last minute in the contest. And I think there was a couple of days thereafter where it was like, all right, here's the pictures of the model, here's the pictures of the process, and looking back, I could probably attribute some of my back problems to working on that model because it was literally like 4 adults building on like maybe 3 48 by 48 base plates on the floor. Like we didn't even set up a table for some stupid reason. We literally had it sitting on the floor. We were hunched over building on the floor, going through my parts bins and stuff. I mean, we'd already set up the crib in anticipation of the baby. There was a desk with no space on it. And it was just these frantic weekend builds of like, how much can we do in like 8 hours, guys? Let's just knock it out. And just kind of, like I said, bending over on the floor. And wow, really kind of looking back on it, really kind of stupid to have built it that way. But that was how we rolled back then. That was me and the homies.
And the homies being Chief Luck? Is that what you guys would go by?
So at the time, I don't think we had a name. I think Keith Lug maybe had a name. I hadn't glommed onto that particular trend yet of naming lugs after yourself until the whole until the whole Battlestar Galactica thing. And I'm like, well, of course it's got to be Chief Lug. Oh, let's print up our own engraved bricks too. We'll copy everything. I think about the only thing we didn't copy from Keith Lug was probably the shirts they gave out. We didn't have that. I don't know. Maybe he had cash to burn for some reason. But
Swiss
I
bank
got
accounts.
one of those
Swiss bank accounts.
Yeah, Keith Goldman has Swiss bank accounts. That rumor just got started.
You heard it
Good
here
job,
first.
Matthew.
Yep.
We'll see what he feels about that. Actually, it's because he's in Vegas and he won the lottery. That's how he was able to afford all the Keith Lug
Yeah,
swag.
that's better. More believable.
I think so. That's how he can wine and dine the Brazilians, if you've seen on his Flickr feed recently.
Yeah, I know. What's up with that, right? Come on, Keith.
Oh my gosh.
Come on.
The jealousy I have for that guy is amazing. It's really funny because I think he had a daughter about the same time as my firstborn. So I think there were jokes at the time that like, we'll get them together and we'll start a Wood and Goldman family legacy. And I haven't seen him in a really long time, so our kids haven't quite met yet. Now they're grown up and she's building like Aku from Safari yet. But yeah, man, oMICRON weekend, you brought that up. Way to go. That got the old...
it's an awesome build. I just remember losing many days of my life looking at the original one.
Yeah, dude, seeing that at BrickCon had to have been like 2007, or maybe it was 8. I can't remember when the contest was, but my son was born February 08. So yeah, it must have been like BrickCon 07, so October of 2007. So we had a few months to even come up with that idea. Yeah, the original, it was huge. I don't know if you probably weren't attending conventions back then, I'm guessing.
I wish.
I don't know. How old would you have been? Let's do some math. Josh is 18. How old are you? Let's not talk about it? Oh,
Let's not talk about it. We'll be like, yeah, that old.
So anyway, it was huge. I don't even know how they got it there. I can't remember at this point. Because, I mean, the micro version filled up my wife and I's kitchen table. And like that felt big to me. Photographing that thing was a chore, and I kind of wish I could go back and do it now with what I know about like backdrops and things like that. But yeah, the original is still one of my all-time favorite builds. You guys should ask that question in these interviews. What's your favorite fan build of all time?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That one's pretty high up there.
You know what strikes a chord about that build, and then this is just me kind of evangelizing a build that's already been evangelized enough, but like, it's like, even when that build is 7 years old, like, internalize that number, like, a 7-year-old build still looks like just as good or better than like current collaborative builds. And then think about how many new parts we have, and then think about what they didn't have back then. That's crazy.
That is genuinely crazy. Yeah, because it's like what if Mixels had been, Mixels are around now. What would a version of that building look like with some kind of Mixel mech stomping around in it? How many more spinely, maybe brick-built troops instead of minifigs that could have had it? It's crazy to think of. It's funny you say that because some of my favorite builders growing up were people who weren't necessarily using the newest parts, but had models that were just solid, looked amazing, and and were built with things that you probably could have had in your collection like 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I don't want the guy who's like, get off my lawn with the parts, because I love me some new parts. Like I actually have something on my desk that's worth playing with. The Chima stuff. There's some accessories in the Chima stuff. I don't know whether you can see this. Some of the like Gorilla Fist stuff that they can like wear in their hands or use as weapons and stuff. Like that little thing is almost like a microscale barracks just on its own. That little metallic silver piece.
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost see like the little door that people come in and out of, but they're using it as a hammer in Chima. Those kind of things are what I dig. Like I was saying, I'm not the guy who's like, oh man, back in the days it was all bricks and plates. You got newfangled pieces now.
Or like the weekly sensationalist piece of editorial journalism or whatever, where they talk about how Lego's just not like it was anymore.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we only had 1x4s and 2x4s. Now there's like bendy plates.
Yeah, I love articles and sites like the New Elementary that talk about the new stuff and do like breakdown articles or link to articles that kind of do away with the fallacy of Lego being more expensive than it used to be. The whole part thing. I think someone did the math on like the actual frequency of the old sets that had specialized parts, and it was actually a lot. And people are like looking back with rose-colored glasses or something, because there was always specialized parts. They didn't go anywhere. And if anything, they've gotten better, because like we're talking about this dumb little monkey fist thing, like that's got multiple uses besides just the end of somebody's gorilla tribe hammer.
Yeah.
So I was gonna mention a couple of the models I was thinking of, or the builders I was thinking of, to kind of name drop a couple of people. Gil Shaw, he goes by Toradoc on Flickr. He's in Canada still, I believe. He always had models that I felt like were solid. They had playability. They could probably take some abuse, and they weren't really like the newfangled-est. That's a word, I made it up. Of pieces, newfangled-est. We've already talked about Chris a little bit, Mark a little bit. Those guys just knew great solid ways of building. And when I was 18, 19 years old, those were the people I looked up to. Sort of inspirations for me growing up. And going, these guys have families in their building. And now I'm at that point. I'm like, how did they ever do it? I don't understand. What's their secret? I still haven't cracked it. I'm as old as they were when I started, like at 18, 19 years old. And they've got another 10 years on me. And Chris is still cranking out ships, like capital ships. Like how does he do that? I don't know. Sort of got a little bit of a southern accent there, a little bit, I guess, in honor of Chris. It was weird. Holy cow!
Holy cow!
Yeah. Sorry, Chris, I'm not saying you're made from cars. But yeah, it's crazy, actually, if we could kind of go off on another tangent, how the community sort of evolved over the years, that now we've got folks like you guys doing interviews with builders, every other week or so. Like, that never would have happened back then. Obviously, internet issues, we have the internet and broadband and things now acceptable and welcomed, and like the Lego company loves it. That sort of stuff. You get to go to conventions that are just popping up left and right. We're talking about Brickworld Tampa. If somebody told me there's going to be something called Brickworld, first off, back in like 2004, I would have been like, that's kind of pretentious calling yourself Brickworld. But now it's going all over the world, and it's huge, and it's franchising its name out, and it's a very successful thing. It's kind of a great time to be a Lego fan, to be honest. It's like I think I mentioned earlier, it's more acceptable.
It's in vogue.
It's very in vogue. It's very in vogue. Like comic book hero movies, like that's everybody wants their Marvel universe now. Everybody wants to. We were sort of talking about a little bit the people who post on articles and blog posts and things, talking about the good old days of Lego. Like I always put comments because someone's going to be talking about Legos. They're going to be talking about the prices. They're going to be talking about the specialized pieces. This guy doesn't have any time on his hands. Get a life, get a girlfriend, and you're like, I actually know the guy who built that. He's got all of those things. Like, it's great seeing sites like a lot of the Gawker network sites, i9, Gizmodo, Kotaku. They post Lego stuff all the time, and a lot of it's from people you can see on Flickr or Brothers Brick, and it's great to get that kind of recognition from what started off as like the greater geek community, and now it's kind of becoming more mainstream, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's like everybody kind of digs Lego at the end of the day. You really can't knock it.
Yeah, and I think I sort of mentioned the Lego movie earlier too. I don't know if that broke boundaries. It's maybe a little too soon to say, but I would like to think that as successful as that was for them at the box office and in the sets, that also translates to more conventions where maybe not necessarily speaking out of turn, but maybe the conventions do have a lot of play areas now. I mean, I think they maybe always have, but maybe there could be more like daddy daughter, daddy son, mommy daughter contest where you have to build together. It's not just like, oh, mom and the 8-year-old are off on the side while dad's doing a blind build. Like, I don't know, maybe they're doing that. Maybe I'm so out of the convention loop that kind of stuff is happening. But what would be really nice is to get a point with conventions where people are not asking you how many pieces are in that, or how long did it take you to build, or can I have instruction. We may never get past that point, but at least maybe it'll be a little more respected. That more people getting it, that it's it's made a joke of in the movie that, oh, this is not a kid's toy. This is a highly specialized interlocking brick system. Whatever the quote is, I'm probably butchering it, but it is a toy, but it is also a medium. Nathan Sawaya, Sean Kenny, these guys, any of the LCPs or any of the other freelance guys have shown that it can be an art form, it can be a lucrative business, and yeah, just I feel like it is becoming more popular. It's becoming more accepted. It's been good. It's been really good for us, I think.
So now maybe here's a counterpoint to all of that, and I don't know if this is something you would even want to talk about, but I always like to raise this question with people. Is there such a thing as like a Lego like depression? Like, do you think it's going to reach like some kind of critical saturation point, where it's like everybody's like, wait a minute, no more Lego, we're all going to start doing Lincoln Logs now. Sorry.
Some kind of bubble bursts or something like that.
Yeah, like boom, like Tulip Mania.
I don't know. I almost feel like Lego hitting what was it, the #1 toy company in the world now.
Yeah.
I almost feel like them hitting that is almost like you can't stop them now. Which from a business side is almost like, like a lot of corporate power there. But from a fan standpoint, hey, that's great. There's going to be more sets. There's going to be more IPs if you're okay with the IPs and not thinking that's distilling the brand. I don't. I love the IPs. For me, professionally, I hope it doesn't slow down anytime soon, because what it means for me is job security, that the more popular Lego becomes in the world, the more Legolands there will be in the world, the more Legoland Discovery Centers there will be in the world. I think Lego has gone on record as saying that they see Asia as being somewhere they'd like to go. I think my company, Merlin Entertainments, also has stated that they're going to go right along with Lego. If that's where they want to go, that's where we want to go too. That's where the growth is. I think America is still. I think Lego keeps saying America hasn't even reached its full potential in terms of customer saturation. South America is obviously fairly wide open still. Like I don't think we're anywhere close to. What's the right word? Not the tipping point, not the saturation point.
Penetration, right?
Yeah, I mean. Definitely in Australia. Well, I just sounded really dumb there. Are we in the Iraqs? To make a really old pop culture reference. I don't know. Depression. Depression's an interesting word to use. Are we heading for a global dark age? Is that kind of the question that we're asking? No. I think Lego's done a really good job of. The fans kind of fended for themselves for a lot of years, and then they started working with Lego, And
I think that actually might be the answer to the question, is what you just said, and what we've kind of talked about throughout the interview is that fan co-creation, right? That's kind of maybe when the tide started to turn. They started saying, well, if the customers, the fans, know how to use our product better than us, maybe, then we can kind of talk to them and see what we can do, and that's when really awesome things started happening.
Yeah, that's a good thought, and that the people who kind of played with it, I'll use like the classic space stuff as an example. The people who grew up with it in the 70s and 80s are now the people who are directing the movies and dropping in 70s and 80s Lego references to today's kids. Like, my kids are going to learn the kind of sets I liked as a kid, which wasn't a whole lot. To be honest, I didn't play with a whole lot of Lego. I recently found a family video on beta tape that my dad had converted of me getting what I think is my first Lego set. I need to get it online at some point. But my parents, when I got the model builder job, were very, very fond of telling people, "Oh, look at the job he got! He got this master model builder position. He never wanted to play with Lego growing up." Sorry, I'm a really scratchy version of my mom. But yeah, they were very fond of telling people that I never really played with a whole lot of Lego growing up, and that I would rather sit in a corner reading a book or drawing or playing with my Ghostbuster and until probably, I don't know, 11 or 12 that it started picking up, which was still 7 or 8 years before Star Wars was coming out. So I didn't really have, like I was saying, maybe from 3 to 10 was probably a darker age than I had in my mid-teens. To be honest, I just didn't really do anything with it. But from about 12 to 18, I was collecting it, and then I may have mentioned earlier, once Star Wars came out, that was it. That was
game over.
Game over. I think that's probably the case for a lot of people. I know that's the case for a lot of people, actually. But yeah, we were sort of talking about, is everyone ever going to get just sick of Lego? I'm sure there's going to be bands of people here and there who get sick of the Lego. There may be people who comment on the Gizmodos and IO9s and Kotaku's of the world going, really, Jesus Diaz, why are you posting another Lego article? But
come on, Jesus, yeah.
To be honest, it's probably getting them hits, and that's probably why they keep doing that. Or these people may just be genuine fanboys of the product themselves. Like I said, these people growing up in the 70s and 80s are now running these sites. But yeah, we're also raising the next generation of the Lego fans now, and how many people want to design sets for a living? How many people want to grow up and be a master model builder, either for Legoland or for the Lego company? And how many applications I've seen that go, this would be my dream job. Building Lego for would be my dream job. At this point, like Lego's the perpetual motion of the thing, it's I don't think it's going to stop. I don't think it may come and go for a lot of people, but I think some of the biggest years for Lego are still to come, to be honest.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm on the same page with you there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to look forward to from them. And on that note, I think it'll finish us out for tonight. So it was great having you on the show, Ryan. A lot of really interesting content. Learned a lot about what you do as a model builder. So it was really, really great talking with you. Glad we could work this out.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and I wanted to remind people to check out the Brick Builders Club to start receiving their monthly box of Brick Swag, and you can find out how to sign up at brickbuildersclub.com and start receiving a box of really cool Lego content every month that way. So that's brickbuildersclub.com, and I'll have a link to them in the description. And I'd encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube page here at Beyond the Brick as well, and keep up to date with all of our latest content, all the videos and show episodes that we're releasing, and that way you won't miss out on any of that. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.